Hello everyone and welcome to a new tutorial about the Korg Kronos. Please consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it, and if you click the bell you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. I've talked quite a bit about the Yamaha Montage lately, and today I want to return to the Korg Kronos and specifically discuss the MIDI options available in the global menu, the settings you have for MIDI control, both for sending and receiving externally, and what else is available there. Have fun! To do this, we first go into the global menu, then end up in the basic menu, and from there we go straight into the MIDI menu. Here we see three new tabs: MIDI, External 1 and External 2. And for now we'll focus on MIDI. First of all, at the top we can assign a global channel. This means that the Kronos will be generally controlled on this channel. That is, I can send program changes to the Kronos and thereby switch performances, programs or set lists. In my case that's 15. That's just how it developed because of my MIDI setup and other devices. Right below that we can turn local control on or off. This means whether we connect the keyboard to the internal sound engine, local control on. If we uncheck it, the internal keyboard, or rather the keyboard, is disconnected from the internal sounds. That means it's a pure master keyboard. Next I can set the convert position, either pre-MIDI or post-MIDI. With this I determine how transpose, velocity curve and aftertouch curve are applied. I can set it to pre-MIDI, for example. This means it affects both the internal zone generation and the MIDI output signal, or post-MIDI. This means it only affects the internal sound generation, but is not sent out with the MIDI signal. The next setting, note receive, is actually very interesting. Here I can set how the tone generator, that is the sound generator, responds to the keyboard. I can set it to all, for example, which means it responds to everything. I can set it to even, then it responds to C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, or I can set it to odd, then it responds to C sharp, D sharp, F, G, A, B flat. What do I need this for? For example, if I have two Kronos units, I can use this to double the polyphony and set the one I'm playing on to odd. It sends out all MIDI signals, and I set the other one to even, which then only responds to the even signals. That means the one I'm playing takes over half and the other takes over the other half. Now let's move on to the MIDI clock. Here I have the option to choose internal or external MIDI or external MIDI USB, and auto MIDI, auto USB basically links it so that if it doesn't receive a signal via MIDI in auto MIDI mode, it switches to internal, and the same applies to auto USB. And as soon as it receives an external signal, it switches to the external signal. Then I can also set, when I'm on external MIDI clock, whether it receives real-time messages or not. This includes, among other things, starting and stopping the sequencer or resetting it. On the right, we then see the MIDI filters. There we can separately set what the Kronos responds to and what it sends out. So program change, bank change, combination change, aftertouch, control change, or exclusive messages. Keep in mind, the Kronos LS2 does not have aftertouch, so aftertouch doesn't work with it. Next, we come to the MIDI routing setup at the bottom. Here we can set what the vector stick sends to the MIDI output, whether it responds as a vector stick again or sends CC control messages, as you can set in the performance and in a program. Then how the pads work, whether they send a single note, a CC, or the chords I've set in the performance, whether the Karma module sends signals out or responds to external MIDI signals, and whether I send start, stop, or reset commands for the sequencer. Then I can also set the sequencer MIDI out, specifically song track for master. This means that the timbres set to external or both will send out program changes. With external sequencers, nothing is sent out. And then in parameter edit, I can also set whether or which signals are sent out while editing. Then I can also set which external channel the drum track responds to and whether the drum track outputs its notes, meaning what it plays. Let's switch to external one. Here we see the knobs, the switches and the sliders. And here I can set what they send out. Specifically, I can assign each individual controller a channel and a CC. Unfortunately, I can't enter the value range, so they always send from 0 to 127, or in the case of the switches, it's 0 or 127, meaning on or off. Then at the top left, I have external mode setups. Here I have 127 memory slots, which means I can save 127 different variants and then recall them for each combination. Let's switch to external 2. Here we see the pads, and here I can again set for each individual pad which channel it ends ends up on and which note or which CC it sends out, as well as the velocity. Let's switch to the controller section. Here at the top I can set the foot pedals, the damper and the expression pedal. Specifically for the assignable foot switch, I can set what I want to control with it. For example, I currently have switch 2 assigned here, but as we can see here, I can set up a lot more options. Then I can tell the foot pedal, that is the volume pedal, what it should control. For me, it's always expression CC, but as you can see, you can assign quite a few other things to this pedal as well. Then I can change the polarity of the damper. That makes sense. For example, if I don't have a system pedal with a switch and there are different polarities. And in the same way, I can change the polarity for the assignable foot switch. At the top right, I can also set how the foot pedal responds, whether it keeps the current state or resets. This means that keep current will transfer the actual position the foot pedal currently has into the program. Reset means that I have to move the pedal past the value that the program or combination currently has, and only then can I continue adjusting it. Below that, I can set how the Karma control responds, or which CCs it sends out, but also that it responds to external control. I've already shown in another video that I use my Behringer X Touch Mini to control my Karma switches to change programs via Karma within a performance. If I now set CCs here, these switches and the sliders will also respond and not just send signals outwards. I can do the same thing below for the vector joystick and of course for the pads as well. Now let's switch over to the functions assign page. Here we can also set it up so that outside of the Karma module, the switches, knobs, buttons, pads and the joystick respond to external MIDI input signals. For example, to control it with an external sequencer or with other external controllers.